Okay, the checkered flag has fallen, and this is the cool down lap. We're going to rant about our race from last night. My name is RB Turner, and Colby, say your name.
I'm Kolby.
He's Kolby Petersen, and we are here with last night's AMP Racing League Cup Series winner from North Wilkesboro. This is Ethan Thompson. Ethan, what's up, man?
Hey guys, how's it going? Thanks for having me.
Thanks, appreciate you being here. So, real simple, man. Just walk through the race. What was your thoughts going into that thing?
My thoughts going into it was definitely tempered for sure. That was actually my first race on the repave in the next gen car. I'd only done one other race, I think, on the repave, so I wasn't like the most comfortable. And the one race that I did not that long ago was in an ARCA car, and I felt like I struggled quite a bit. I also don't feel like I consider myself to be all that great of a short track driver. I mean, I know I don't do bad, but I don't feel like it's my strong suit. So I wasn't like extremely optimistic, but just was a little tempered, That's all for the most
Trying
part.
to keep it clean.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was my biggest fear going into that thing, was getting the incident limit, because that always seems to happen. You just can't help it sometimes. But you got to battle me quite a bit. I don't know if you know which car I'm in. I'm in the 02 car.
Yeah.
I think we battled for like fourth and fifth. We kind of traded spots for like 75 laps. It was good stuff. I enjoyed it. It was good racing. It was hard racing, and it was clean racing. I appreciate that.
What did y'all end up with? I think it was 15, 16 cautions.
We had 15 cautions.
15 cautions. I think that's right near an AMP record, RB.
I think the AMP record is at North Wilkesboro, but it's I think it's 22.
22.
I want to say 22. I could be wrong. Yeah. I could be wrong about that. I think we said it last year. I'm pretty sure it was 22, and that was just that was a shit show and a half. Thank God that didn't happen. But
talk to me a little bit, Ethan, about restarts. In something like that, North Wilkesboro, to me, it doesn't really seem to matter what car you're in. As far as a short track goes, it seems to be heavily reliant on a rhythm, right? And so your first run on the repave, first run on the next gen on the repave. Talk to me a little bit about, so getting into a rhythm, 3-4 laps caution, 3-4 laps caution. That's what it seemed to be like when I was watching the broadcast. So how hard was it to maintain that focus and that rhythm with so many restarts? And it really did seem like it was 3 or 4 green flag laps and then a caution.
Yeah, I mean, for me, it becomes really difficult. I think I do a little bit. I'm more of a long run style type of driver. I don't like to do the short run sprints. So I like to let people go and then just, try to get them back later. So when you have all those cautions, it kind of goes against what I feel like is my strong suit. We get these restarts and I'm 1-2 guys go, and then caution comes out and then we get restarted again. There goes another 1-2 goes by, because I'm just not pushing, because I'm hoping that we're going to get a long run. So at that point it does get a bit frustrating when you keep having cautions left and right and you're just dropping back 4, 5, 6 spots before the blink of an eye.
Sounds like I'm talking to you, RB.
I feel you. I mean, yeah, that's my style for sure. Everybody goes by. So that's what last night for me, it was just kind of get to the front and stay there. Did you feel that way at all? I was too scared to fall back, honestly.
Yeah, I mean, I was definitely fortunate that I think like maybe the worst that I was really running most of the race was like maybe like 7th. I know that there was a restart. I went and I think my last pit stop was around like 122 or something like that. And a lot of the guys, there was multiple in the front that did not. I was a little worried about being back there in about 12th or so at the time. But I think they still kept wrecking behind us, and then a couple guys decided to pit like 10 laps later. So at that point, kind of got back where I wanted to be anyway.
Sure. Yeah. I wish I would have pitted when you did. I was one of those guys that pitted later. But yeah,
seemed like wrong place, wrong time for a lot of those cautions. Based on what I saw. Unfortunately, I wasn't able to race last night, but seemed like a ton of those cautions just seemed to be. Well, there was 2 things. It seemed to be getting into the throttle too heavy off of 4. There's that bump that comes out of 4, right?
Yeah.
And then it just seemed to be kind of, somebody would check up too early, or if you want to blame the other guy, somebody that was going into the corner too hard. It seemed to be the cause of, 11, 12 of those 15 cautions.
Yeah, I think he claimed like 3 cautions. I don't remember his name, but there was one of them.
That was Jacob Klinkhart.
I
And
don't
two
know.
of
It was just to me, a lot of it was just short track racing. Really,
just short track racing.
it's just short track racing. Best Denny Hamlin.
Right. Now, Ethan, you were getting chased down by 2 of the dogs of this league. 2 guys that are always up there, always fighting it out, always battling. Seemed like every restart, you'd get that jump on the outside or fall into the outside and make it work for you. So talk to us a little bit about that. I absolutely despise starting in front of Aaron or Josh Barr at any time because I know they're going to pass me, and it's demoralizing as a racer. So talk to me a little bit about how that went for you.
So, I was a little, if you want to say worried, just because, this is my first season in here, but I did glance at last season's schedule, and I see some of the names that are winning multiple races, so I kind of had a little bit of an idea of guys that were probably going to be fast, and it definitely seemed like those 2 names were ones that came up multiple times, and of course those are 2 that happen to be right here in the beginning of the season, so they're carrying over from what they did last season, and it kind of plays back into what we were talking about with the cautions. When you're going to have one every couple laps, I was pretty comfortable knowing that as long as I got a decent jump on the restart, took the outside lane, it was going to be really difficult for either one of them to be able to pass me. If they got down on the bottom, I knew that they could probably get side by side, but it was going to be really hard to get the run off the corner from the bottom. And the last thing I was going to do was let anybody get to the outside of me. If you were going to pass me, it was going to have to be on the bottom. And if you did, kudos to you.
For real. Outside was gold last night. And there's one of those things with the restarts, in the position that I was in. I know that the cautions came out in such a way that we had one too many cautions for me personally. It cost me a top 3 because the next caution I had to start on the inside. I don't know. That's the outside was gold. That's pretty much the point that I'm getting at. I'm usually a bottom feeder. So to see somebody like myself just running the outside is almost unheard of in AMP because I just feel like it eats too much tires.
And I'm the same way. I'm a bottom feeder. I was even a bottom feeder last night. I never went to the top unless I had to defend or pass. Most of the time, if I was able to get back by somebody, if I was comfortable, I was going back down to the bottom. I just like to be easy, rolled in, and if I need to move, then I'll move. But the bottom is where I like to be.
Yeah, for sure. I just felt like every time I was down there, I just ended up getting freight trained by like 4, 5, 6 guys. And like, damn, I got to work all the way back up there. Like, man, and everybody's protecting the top side, So yeah, it was a good race for sure. It's almost like a chess match.
It did seem to be that way. How often, Bristol, you can make the outside work, right? But how often do you see a short track where that 3rd and 4th groove? Hell, half the short tracks don't have a 3rd and 4th groove, right? So for that 3rd and 4th groove at North Wilkesboro to have the speed built into it in a way where, like you said, if you let somebody get to your right rear at almost any track, you're done, right? With that run and that momentum, that's generally a kill shot. But for a short track like North Wilkesboro, to have such a top line dominance on the run off and then being able to really pinch that exit, it seemed like really made the difference, especially on a couple of those restarts. There was a couple of restarts where like Barr or Aaron would get a good restart with you, but if you could pinch them down in the corner, it was almost impossible for them to get any kind of drive off without looping the car around.
Yeah, that's exactly the same way that I felt.
Very good. Well, let's talk. Kolby, I think it's time to start getting to know Ethan.
I agree. Listen, man, where are you from? How old are you? How long you been on iracing? What's your favorite beverage? That's an important one. Now, don't let me down here. And I can already see the hoodie you're wearing. That's a shame, but I'm going to let it pass this evening. One time only.
That's pretty popular where I live.
Yeah, we all gotta like
Jacksonville.
somebody, or they got nobody to play against.
All right.
No, tell us a little bit about yourself, man.
Yeah, but I'm 34. I'm in Salisbury, Maryland. It's on the East Coast side of Maryland. I've been on iRacing, I want to say, since 2020, maybe 2019. So it's been 5-6 years, I'd say. Favorite beverage? Well, I don't drink at all, so nothing alcoholic.
Good for you. Keep it that way.
I've been kind of hooked on some energy drinks here lately. The one brand Alani is one that I've been drinking a lot of. They got some pretty good flavors that I've been enjoying lately.
I think it's taken over some popularity, ain't it?
Yeah, it definitely has.
Seems like it.
Kolby don't drink alcohol either. Just so
No, I don't drink at all. We won't talk about what I did this weekend later in this podcast at all.
I'm just poking fun.
And then, we visited a little bit earlier. I don't think, unless people saw your driver cam in the first race, because I think the last couple, there's been something wrong or whatever, but you are in a wheelchair.
Yes, sure am. I mean, sit here. So there's evidence, but yeah, I've been in a chair since 2014. I was at a friend's house, and we were swimming and dove into the pool and managed to hit my head at the bottom. So I broke my neck at the C6 vertebrae, and it put a lesion on my spinal cord. So I am officially labeled as a C7 quadriplegic. I know a lot of people, that's a lot of misunderstanding with the term quadriplegic, because most people think, oh, well, they can't really move or do anything with any of their extremities. I'm basically as close to what would be considered a paraplegic without being labeled a paraplegic. The reason that I'm still considered a quadriplegic is because, maybe, I don't know how easy you can tell. You can kind of see like my hands and fingers and whatnot. They don't sit right. I don't have like full function and dexterity in my hands. So because I have deficiencies in limbs, that's where you still end up with the quad label. So, but before the injury, I was living in Newport News, Virginia. I was a pipe welder working on nuclear aircraft carriers and submarines. I had done that for probably 3 years. Did welding in high school, so just ended up down that career path. And then once that all happened, I moved back to Maryland, where I was originally from, to be with family that helped me with the rehab process and all that good stuff. Had to try to figure out, something else to do with my time, both for fun as well as career wise. I had always been playing racing games. I mean, one of my first ever video games was NASCAR 98 on the PlayStation 1. I've been racing, been a NASCAR fan forever. Eventually wanted to, get into more and more. I did leagues on some of the Heat games. It was okay, but I didn't really feel like it was the most enjoyable experience. I knew about iRacing, but I didn't think that it was going to be something that I could do, knowing that you're at a huge disadvantage if you try to play on a controller, which is, compared to the console. I mean, I could get away with playing on a console and still be somewhat competitive. And we can get into my setup here in a minute. But as far as another path that ended up going down was, I got into drones. Just kind of fell in my lap just because my father got interested in them, and he brought one home. And then I was like, well, I kind of want to try it. So next thing you know, here I am with 10 or more of them now. I do that as I have my own business with drones, just doing photography, video, all sorts of stuff, residential, commercial, real estate, videos for advertising, all that kind of stuff.
That's a hell of a niche, man. There's a huge market for that. That's awesome that you were able to find something like that.
Yeah, I enjoy it a lot because it gets me out of the house, for one, and it's something that, I'm able to do. It's not too complicated, and I can make my own schedule for the most part, which is really nice in my situation. So doctor's appointments and this, that, and the other. It's it's been a really good experience that I found that, and just helped me out a lot with the mental side of things. Because there's a lot of people don't take to this kind of stuff too well, and you go down a dark path. But fortunately, I've had a lot of good things fall in my lap ever since the injury. So
That's incredible. So going back to it, you're hanging out at a swimming pool, dive in head first. I mean, we've all done it, right? That's nuts. Like, let me ask you, and if this is too personal, RB will take care of the editing part because he's a wizard. You talked about kind of the mental game, right? And so this happened 12 years ago. That's wild to think. 24 or
yeah, I'm
2014.
coming up on 12 years this
Coming
summer.
up on 12 years this summer. God, that's insane to think that 2014 was that far. Oh my lord. Talk a little bit because so listen, I'm a huge advocate for men's mental health. Not that I really like do any work with it, right? But amongst us and like some of the folks that listen to this, like I know a lot of us genuinely care about that. Talk a little bit about the mental side of things if you don't mind, like going from a heavily blue collar labor intensive career to understanding that that's not necessarily viable for you anymore. Talk about that mental switch and then maybe shout out a couple people that really help you get there to understand that, come to terms with that, if you don't mind.
Yeah, I mean, the first thing I'll say is I've got a strong faith in God, always have, and that's been the number one thing that's gotten me through a lot of it, as well as just, I mean, I have a big family. I've got a lot of close friends, so I mean, between those three things, that that's made everything so much easier. But yeah, I mean, it's just you go from doing all these fun things all the time, and you got a good career. You're young. I was 22 at the time, and next thing you know, you're like I said, you're laying in a hospital. You can't move. You can't move your legs at all. You don't know what's going on. I just remember, I'm laying in that bed for a couple, 2 or 3 days, and then the first time that they sat me up, it was like just completely unbalanced because I don't have function from the chest down pretty much. So, as soon as I got sat up, it was like wanting to topple over because you're having to relearn how your body works at that point. There's so much that is different, and I know it's something that people can never understand unless you're in that position. You're basically learning how to live all over again. I mean, it's from scratch. I mean, how you get in bed, how you take a shower, how you go from one place to another. There's so many things that you have to consider before you even go and do something. It's like, okay, well, I want to go hang out with my buddies. It's like, all right, well, that's great. What's it like outside? Oh, well, it's going to be pouring down rain. You start to think, well, I don't know if I really want to go do that now, because if I go try to load up in my vehicle, then I'm going to get soaked by the time I can get in and get my chair in. And it's just little things like that can really start to get on you. I mean, you could be watching a TV show, something comes up on there of I don't know, just some happy moment for somebody, and you kind of have that little moment, and you're like, all right, am I ever going to get that similar kind of happy moment? Is that possible for me in my situation now? Stuff like that could definitely make it difficult. Like I said, fortunately, I got a really good support from so many people that stuff like that doesn't really tend to get me down. If it does, it doesn't get me down for very long. Time heals all things. I know a lot of people don't like to hear that when they're in the situation early on, but it is the truth that you learn to adapt, and then things always get easier, once you relearn things. I can definitely say that's been the case for me.
New normal, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, the chair is just a thing at this point for me. Like, I don't even, when I'm moving around, doing things, talking to people, the fact that I'm sitting in a chair doesn't even ever cross my mind. I mean, it's just another thing.
It's an impressive story, right? And I'm interested to see what you're working with over there as far as the rig, because I think all that really does, as far as for me, makes the feat, the race win last night, all that does for me is make it even more impressive in my book, right? Because I'm on a regular rig, I'm on all that stuff. So moving from a console to iracing, and then moving from a controller, so what is your, I don't even know how to ask this, RB. Like, what does that look like? Do you have some custom pieces? Do you, that kind of thing?
The first thing, I was hoping that I had a picture of, actually, I do have a picture. All right. So this was the very first experiment that we came up with, my dad and I. But first, I'll backtrack a little bit. When I was trying to find a way to see if I could use a wheel, I found a group called abled gamers, and they're like a charity type of organization that help people that have disabilities with gaming. I reached out to them. I told them what I was wanting to do. They said they really didn't know. They've never really had to work with anybody that was trying to race online, so they hadn't really come up with a solution. But they said, hey, we've got a Logitech G29 and a 920. We're more than happy to send them to you and let you see what you're able to come up with. And if you have, if something works, you're more than welcome to keep them. So as goofy as this is, the first thing we tried is these are the pedals from the Logitech wheel. They were cut and then turned around backwards. And basically I would have this one here is the gas and the right one is the brake. I had the gas closer to me just because you're using the gas more. And you would just basically wrap your fingers over the top of that and then just pull your fingers in and this would move down. Basically just like a reverse pedal, just moving in a different direction. The only problem with this was that one, you have to drive one-handed, and two, there was no spring in this. So it was kind of hard. It's not as bad with the gas, but it was definitely more difficult on the braking side. It's nice to have some tension on a brake to kind of have an idea how much you're giving. So needless to say, it was enough that I actually managed to get a win in a street stock at Southern National. I think it was my very first iRacing win.
No
Funny thing
shit.
is that I was like so unfamiliar with the black boxes and all that stuff that I didn't even know that I won the race until the crew chief came up and said, "Good job, man, you won." And I'm like, "What?"
I bet that felt good.
Oh, absolutely. But it was enough that it said, I just made a 1 month account. I was like, all right, I know that this is doable now. I can, we just have to tweak and find more ways to improve on our setup. So the next thing that we came up with and this was the Logitech wheel still, and we have this little metal plate that we put on, and it's just clamped on the ends. And right here is the potentiometer from those pedals, same ones here and here. This one is the gas and this one's the brake. So it's like an ATV, like a four-wheeler throttle, basically. You just press this one in and it goes inward towards the wheel. The brake I have on this side and my thumb just sits underneath of it, and you basically move it upward for the brake. It does have springs. They're hidden back behind there a little bit. It's hard to see. And the reason that I did the gas on the left is that when you need to upshift, it's kind of hard to do. If I had it on this side, it'd be kind of hard to do both on the same side, especially when you're doing a road course. It's a lot easier to do when they're on opposite sides. I don't think I have a picture. I know at one point I actually put a kind of like a button box button, and we drilled a hole and we put it right about here, and I used that as a downshift instead of the paddle because I had trouble squeezing the paddle. The tension on the springs was too much. I could do it with the left hand. I take that back. I could do it with the left hand. I couldn't do it with the right hand. That's what it was. And then I had a buddy, he did a little bit of racing with you guys last season, but I know that he's had some physical issues that have kept him from being able to do it this season. Brian Boyd,
Yeah,
he donated his Thrustmaster wheel to me, and this is the exact setup that I'm running with now, and it's been optimized a bit, a lot nicer housing right here. Now you can see the springs, gas pedal still here, brake on this side, and then if you look closely in here, we made an addition, and we added on to the paddle shifters. You can kind of see here, we just took a plate and welded it. And you can see where it's been like grinded to smooth down the weld. The reason we did that was the same reason I said before. I had trouble with squeezing, and with it having a longer paddle shifter, it was more surface area for me to grab onto, and we actually were able to get rid of some of the tension on that to make it even easier to squeeze. And then to give you a little bit more, this is what it looks like inside. So basically, potentiometer here and here, and here's the whole circuit board that runs those potentiometers, and then we just had to drill a hole into the base and just run the wires back down in there. So, I'm running with the exact pedals that come with the Thrustmaster, but I'm just doing it with my thumbs. I have the same range of motion as you would with the pedal. I mean, I get the full distance. I would say that obviously it would still, pedals is still a little bit nicer than using this. Even with the spring from this picture, it's still not the same as the brake in a pedal or brake in a car, for example. But yeah, I've had this set up now for probably even going back to the Logitech. I mean, probably at least going on 4 years, I want to say. I mean, we managed to figure out something quick. I mean, my dad's extremely hands-on, handy, and I mean, between the two of us, we pretty much came up with this on our own. I had looked into SimAbility a little bit. I know that I don't know if anyone's ever heard of that, but that's another group that makes like hand controls basically for wheels. I just didn't feel like what he was offering was going to work for me. I think it works a little bit better for guys that have full hand function as far as being able to squeeze paddle shifters and things that he makes. Because he definitely makes some cool stuff, but ultimately this is what has worked, and it's worked extremely well. I mean, as you guys can tell,
That is
I don't
impressive.
have too much trouble getting around, and
That's incredible.
nobody
That's insane.
would know if I didn't tell them.
No, I
that's
wouldn't have known.
absolutely bananas.
Honestly, I didn't know until I think last night during the air. I knew that there was somebody that was handicapped and somewhere in the league. I just didn't know. Yeah, we were in the admin chat, and Signature came into the admin chat and said, "You all got beat by a guy in a wheelchair." I was like, well, "Damn."
No.
Well,
No, man,
was
that's
funny.
insane.
It's funny that he says that too, because I've had buddies that have said the same thing. Like when I've won different things, and I've got another buddy that he's in a chair and he's good at some other games, and he says, "Yeah, I always love messing with people when I beat them because I tell them, hey, you just got beat by a quad."
That's bananas. I am interested real quick, just one question. So when you realize that, from here south, you have no balance, you have no, control, okay? What was that like relearning your center of gravity to position your shoulders, your chest, all that stuff in a position where you don't got to be 4-point harnessed all the time?
Yeah, it's a little tricky because I might be able to give you a little bit of an idea. Basically, if like when I'm sitting, if I'm sitting like this, I'm perfectly fine. But if I was to try to take both my arms and lift my arms, I start to fall forward. And so like to think that you're going to sit there and hold a wheel, just to sit like this, I'm having to squeeze the daylights out of my shoulder blades to get my back and everything to, keep me up as best as possible. So, but it's a little bit different when you got the wheel on the desk because you have, it's stable, you're locked, and you have something you're basically pushing against. So at that point, that helps you stay back a bit. Time to time, I'll get out of this chair and get into a standard like computer desk chair, and the one that I have does have the ability to recline some. So if I feel like I'm having any trouble sitting the way that I want to, I can always recline it just a little bit. So if you guys ever see me looking slouched on the broadcast, it's probably because my back or my shoulders is bothering me and I'm not comfortable sitting all the way upright.
Oh, that's insane. And the reason I ask, and I'll get to the funny part here. I used when I was a kid, pre-driver's license, pre-everything. I used to help a gentleman. So his source of making money was recycling. One of his we'll call it big money makers. He used to go around and buy battery cores from different shops and stuff around town. And the reason I asked this is because in his personal car, like the one that you would use to get to a drone site, he had a apparatus that was attached to his pedals, and basically everything was hand operated. He just had to almost like he was shifting an automatic car. He would move this apparatus, I don't know what else to call it, in a way where if he held it in a certain position and pushed forward, he was applying the brake. If he switched it over, he was applying the fuel. Is that something you got going on in your own personal vehicle?
It is, and I'd love to show you guys what I'm working with here.
Wait,
Yep.
While you're doing that, Ethan, RB, 4th place finish for you yesterday, sir. You're a tire saver, long run guy, just like Ethan was talking about earlier. You did on that last restart. You were stuck on the inside. Talk to me a little bit about your race while Ethan's pulling this up.
I'll talk to you about the exciting part. the very end, I was doing everything I could to keep in front of Aaron. I really wanted a third place. I wanted to talk to Jason. I didn't get him, but I really wanted that third place. So I was trying to stay in front of Aaron, and then Barr ended up getting loose. I ended up checking up for him, and Aaron went around, and I think the 13 was somewhere there. So
He was.
So I'm just like, I guess we're going 3 wide. And we ran around for about a lap, and then I just got a little bit too trigger happy coming out, and
little heavy on the loud
there.
pedal, if you will.
Yeah, a little loud pedal asylum kind of deal going on there. And
no,
I'm really
really
happy that Zook hit me when he did, because that's what probably kept me in
straighten you out. I agree. No, man,
He pushed
it
me
really
on.
was. And Jason said so much on the broadcast. It really was an exciting race. Here we go.
So this is my vehicle. I've got a 2015 GMC Sierra. So here's my hand control for gas and brake. Basically, I would just pull this back this way. It like rocks basically. So the motion is just kind of like pulling your wrist back.
Okay.
And then for brake, it's all you got to do is just push it forward. So it's just rock for gas, push forward for brake. Real simple. And then because of my weak hand function, I just have this. It's called a tri-pin. You just slide your hand into it so that you're, with the 2 pins on the left and the right, your hand can't fall out of that at all. Similar to a suicide knob in a way, if you want to think of it that way. And then I can just turn the wheel any which way that I want to, and I don't have to worry about my hand coming off the wheel. And then as far as the rest of the setup, I have this cap on the truck. It opens up all the way just like that. I've got the crane right here. The crane comes around and picks my chair up. You can see there's the crane with the chair hooked up to it at the time. Crane with the chair up in the air. You can see I'm sitting here, and that was when this was the first day that I got the truck, and they're teaching me everything. And it's just, it's basically like a little scissor lift that sits underneath of the truck. It just comes out. I hop out of my chair over to the scissor lift, ride it up, hop over into the driver's seat, and then just put everything back down.
Now, is that the crane and the bed? Is that just something operated by like an electronic motor, or is it like a PTO?
Yeah, it's all electronic. I just have a couple different remotes that I use. I don't think any of these pictures show it, but I have one remote for the scissor lift, one remote that does the cap, and then another remote that does the crane.
Are these wireless, or are they just kind of like hanging out underneath your passenger or your driver's seat?
They're all wired. So two of them sit right in the door.
Okay.
Right about here, I have them both Velcroed both into the door. And then the third one sits basically in the floor, right in the driver's seat, or the driver's side floor. And then that way I can, that one does the crane. So if I'm sitting here, I can grab that remote from behind me, have it basically like in my lap while I operate the crane. And then when I'm done, I just throw it back on the floor out of the way afterwards.
Now I have to ask just one question to make a little bit of light of this. I assume you just replace your pickup truck battery before the warranty expires, right?
Yes.
Okay. No, that's insane. That's incredible. And I assume there is like a company that does this that you went through?
Yeah. The nice thing was that I was able to get the state to pay for everything. And it was just a matter of, they had to go out and they did the bidding, the round of bidding for who was going to do the work. But it was, my research and whatnot led me to this setup, that this is what I wanted. I had always had a truck ever since I learned to drive. I don't like sitting low, so I didn't want to have a car, even though a car would have been easier to get in and out of, and obviously like the type of vehicle that you drive is, kind of part of your identity anyway. So I didn't really want to lose that as well. So I took time to do some research, figure out what was going to work for me. And then it took darn near close to 2 years from the point that I started the process to the point that I got the truck. But that's the government for you. They're not too quick on moving with a lot of different things.
No, they are not. No, that's incredible, man. We've gone a little bit longer than I know we told you, but that's insane. And I'll be happy to say it. Like the the fortitude, the can-do attitude, if you will. I mean, I call it the "fuck you" attitude, right?
Yeah,
There's
right.
and excuse my mouth to my mom who listens to this every week. Also, this is a new record for how long I've gone without saying the F word. RB, write that down.
This is what 50 minutes and 12 seconds.
Hell yeah. No, this it should be a lesson to a lot of people, right? Like some of us get out of bed and we're pissed off that we get to use our full range of motion. And, you've got a 3-step process just to get in the truck and go to work. Like
Yeah, I mean,
it's an incredible thing that I think too many people do take for granted in a way. And I feel like I say that in a way that, for instance, my mom, she ran the specials unit, is what they called it, at an elementary school when we first moved to southern Utah back in 2006. She went to work for the elementary school down the road, taking care of kids with all kinds of disabilities. And one of the coolest kids I've ever met, to this day, I still got him on Facebook. We still chat. He was born with a degenerative something or other in his spine. His entire life has been learning how to operate regular life with an extraordinary circumstance, right? And so, like, for you, it would have been really simple for you to have been like, oh, well, collect disability and just quit. It would have been really simple for you to do that, but you didn't. You
yeah,
made it happen.
it's the thing that I've always told people is that there's no point in sitting around and just the only way to make yourself happy is doing something about it. I mean, in the situation, I mean, not even just in mine, but in general. I mean, it's not just going to happen just from doing nothing. I mean, you got to do something that's going to bring that sense of joy, happiness, comfort, peace, whatever word you want to use. It's not just going to happen sitting around doing nothing and ain't doing you any good. Sit there and be down in the dumps. I mean, I understand it's not easy, but it's the only life that you've got, so you might as well make the most of it.
It's inspiring. I'm sure I would assume you get sick of hearing that shit, but
You're good.
no, it's really cool that you take the hand that you're dealt in a shitty situation or whatever you want to consider it, and it probably gave you a whole new outlook just on the world in general, which, I mean, hell, I'd kill for some days. But I think it's super cool that you took it and ran with it, and now you're winning races in I consider it to be one of the most fair matched competitive leagues that I've participated in. We talked last week for a little while with Aaron about how it's competitive from the front to the back. That doesn't necessarily mean that the dude that runs 25th every week is going to be contending for a win next week on accident. But every week you're battling guys and you're getting better and you're learning racecraft from other people. And for you to have, like I said, an extraordinary circumstance and do what you did last night is incredible.
Well, I appreciate it. And I completely understand where you're coming from. When you don't know someone's situation and you see what they do, it's normal to, you want to say, inspired or whatever, and you say, I'm sure you're tired of hearing it, but no, I mean, it's completely understandable. Yeah, I mean, obviously I do hear it, but it's not something that bothers me. Anything. I can understand that, anybody would really feel that way. There's plenty of times I see people do stuff and I have the same kind of reaction. So
listen, man, this has been a really good time, RB. I'm sure that you've enjoyed yourself.
Yeah, this has been it's been pretty awesome. Who you like for the Super Bowl?
If the Seahawks don't win it, then they really screwed themselves up somehow. That's all I think.
Heard that. Preach, my guy. Preach. They are so much better in all facets of the game. I don't understand how the Patriots go there and win without, like, severe mistakes.
Yeah,
and
I mean,
it could only really be by Sam Darnold. I mean, their defense don't suck. Their offensive line is not bad. They have one of the best receivers, arguably, in the game. I don't know how they lose that football game.
Yeah, I mean, I would have loved to have seen that Denver Patriots game if Bo Nix could have been there. I mean, I just don't think May has been really good, but he's also like
Streaky. He's streaky.
Exact. Yes. Yeah.
No, I 1,000% agree with that. I also have the Seahawks +4 or -4. I'm sorry, for a couple $100. What about you, RB?
I haven't made any bets. I just want the Seahawks to win so I can throw it in Bollinger's face.
I completely agree with that.
My biggest
he won't
thing,
leave me alone. He just kept sending me Patriots shit.
My biggest thing is I don't want the Patriots to win because it's not fair at all. As a fan of any other team, they don't have a clue what it's like. At least the fans of like this generation, they don't have a clue what it's like to not be good. They only had to suffer for like 3 years, and all of a sudden now they're back winning like double-digit games and going to the Super Bowl. So
I've been a Chiefs fan forever, and like I remember the 2-14, 3-13 seasons for 15 plus years.
I remember growing up and seeing Chiefs on the calendar and being like, "Yep, well, that should be a win."
So who's your team mainly?
I'm Pittsburgh.
Pittsburgh,
and we're not in the greatest place right now. So I mean, it'll be interesting to see. I mean, we just got a
yeah. Good luck with Mike McCarthy. Y'all keep that.
We'll see. I mean, our offense has been so bad since Ben has been gone, and they've really not done anything to try to address it. At least he's offensively minded, so maybe
that's the worst part is y'all have had one of the top 5 to 10 defenses in the league for 20 years.
They should have won 2, if not 3 more Super Bowls over the span of what they had on that roster with Bell and Brown, Ben. They had so many good, like, number 2 receivers, too, at the same time. I don't know. They just did not play as a team whenever they got into the playoffs. Like, it just always fell apart for whatever reason. It was just frustrating. But I don't know. You haven't had a losing season thing. That gets old. It's like they don't matter.
It seemed like, and what's his name? Pat McAfee.
Love him.
He said that a lot of folks in Pittsburgh were happy with mediocrity for a long time, and now I think Pittsburgh has dropped the idea of being happy with mediocrity.
Well, I mean, we got to a point in this past season. I mean, where it was like it was our division to lose. We got Baltimore sitting down there at 1-5, and Cincinnati loses Burrow, and that poor guy, he can't stay healthy to save his life. And
he was a flash in the pan.
As a Cincinnati fan myself, I have been utterly disappointed for all
flash
my
in
life.
the pan. Flash in the pan is what that Joe Burrow is.
Completely understand, because I mean, there's been a lot of times where Cincinnati's had a lot of really promising rosters and whatnot, and it's like, I mean, I remember every time that we go and play against, even just with Andy Dalton. I mean, those were never easy games. Ever.
Andy Dalton was better than a lot of people gave him credit for.
Yes, he was.
I think the line. I think he just didn't get along with his team because it was like he'd hike the ball and they'd be like, "All right, there he is, go get him." So he'd get sacked, 12 times a game.
His offensive line was the equivalent of like a Labrador Retriever. Like, you broke into my house. Here, let me show you where everything is.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Cincinnati has had a crazy amount of just really talented players too.
They have.
Oh yeah.
I mean, all the way back to Chad.
Yeah.
Ocho Cinco, or whatever the hell he wants to be called now. My lord.
You know why he did that? Because he got fined by the NFL because I think it was I don't know, some stupid holiday. I can't even remember what it was.
Probably Cinco de Mayo.
Probably. That makes perfect sense. But he brought out a jersey and he had like this Velcro name on the back of it where it says Johnson, put Cinco or Ocho Cinco behind, on it. And the NFL fined him for defacing gear.
League property, basically.
So he was like, fuck it. And he went to the courthouse and had his name legally changed.
I think that's the kind of thing you do when you have fuck you money.
He has fuck you money.
It's kind of like Ron Artest changing his name to Meta World Peace.
Yeah, I got something else really cool for y'all. If y'all got another few minutes,
keep on keeping on.
I'm good.
I think this is it here. Let me see. Yes, it is. All right, let me get this up on the screen. All right, this is me riding with Christopher Bell.
I was like, I know who that is. Who is she?
And this was 2019. It was before COVID. I know that. There's a group. They were out of Colorado. It's called Fauci Adaptive Motorsports, I believe, if I'm not mistaken. Fauci is a neurosurgeon in the Denver area, and he got linked up with some people, one of the old presidents from Furniture Row Racing. I mean, you can see their decals and stuff in here. This used to be one of their cup cars that they donated to.
Like an old Truex car?
Yes.
Okay.
It actually had the 19 on the side of the car, but it was one of their cup cars for him. So I got invited to come out, and along with some other guys that were disabled, they had guys that were on like the USA Olympic or Paralympic basketball team, and a couple other guys too. But I can show you a little bit of this video.
What racetrack was this at?
This was at Richmond.
Okay. Is Christopher Bell not like the nicest human being in the world?
He was nice.
I've met a lot of NASCAR drivers, and he was by far like my favorite driver is Kyle Larson, and I've met Christopher Bell, and like that's almost seems like the guy you would want to, for hypothetical, have a beer with, if you will.
Yeah.
It looks like he was getting it too. He wasn't just.
He said that he was probably at about 80% or so, roughly.
Tire saving mode. RB. RB, you can copy.
And he said, he's like, obviously I'm not going full. I'm like, last thing I need to do is wreck this car. But you can
was
see.
This still when he was driving 19, he would have been still driving the 20 for the Xfinity program?
Yes, he had actually just won Bristol the week before we did this. But you'll see over here on the side right here, that's a hand control.
Okay.
So we actually all got to drive as well.
Oh.
Now, what's cool is that there was one guy there, and he was a high level quad, so he did not have hand function really in his arms.
Mm-hmm.
He was in a power chair. They have a helmet that they have created that when you wear it, you turn your head to the left or to the right, and when you turn your head, that steers the car.
Oh my God.
And you use a straw, and you basically would like sip, like you're sipping a drink for the gas, and you would blow into it for the brake. And the more you put into it, see, I screwed with him a little bit just being stupid. Like we go into the pits, and he didn't come in like he normally would, and he went over the commitment box, and I told him that he should have been penalized.
Oh, that's insane.
But here's same thing, but just from the other view. Man, I'll tell you what, you do not realize how much grit and stuff is all over the track
until you hear it bouncing
all over the bottom of the car.
Was it like a shit yourself moment to see the wall just come up on you like that?
Not as much as I thought. And like,
I would.
Part of me like felt bad because like, you got all these guys, a lot of these guys that were there, they never had experienced NASCAR at all. They weren't like big NASCAR fans like I was. They didn't really know much about the sport. They didn't really know who Christopher Bell was. And me on the other side, I'm like, I know everything in here. You know what I mean? Like
you knew what the point standings were that day.
Yeah. Like I knew that Chris had just won that race and, all that stuff. And I was going to this racetrack twice a year when I was living in Virginia. So like they're getting out and they're just like giddy and like, oh my gosh, dude, that was freaking awesome. And
he did run the shit over that commitment box.
And I get out and like, don't get me wrong, like I wasn't like unhappy or anything like that, but they're like, I didn't have that same reaction that they did in a way.
Yeah.
Because like when you've been around racing like forever. So like while you definitely enjoyed it like a ton, you kind of have you already have like an idea of what it's going to be like anyway. So it's like, think about it like one way I would describe it is like you've ridden a roller coaster, the same one a bunch of times. Like you enjoy it, but you're not like getting off of it like all giddy, if that makes sense.
No, that makes perfect sense.
So that's kind of how I was. And I just like, I don't know if it was weird that I didn't have that same reaction that those other guys did. All right. So the nice thing was that they actually were able to let me put that tri-pin thing on the wheel, because otherwise I don't know if I would have been able to do it with my hands. I would have had to use that other helmet, and I really didn't want to have to do that as someone that likes racing. I want my hand on the wheel.
Yeah.
So this was a guy that travels with them. His name was Tommy something, I think, but he was not in NASCAR or whatever, but he is a race driver. So basically he sits and he gives you thumb up, thumb down, letting you go slower, faster, or he'll basically level his hand off to say, hey, you're good there. Unfortunately, I mean, the guys that, the position that we're in and the situation they're in, they're not going to let us go but so fast. But you'll see that as we go along, we're not even out of the turn yet, and he's telling me to slow down because I was ready to go. Because we only got like 3 laps, but by the time I get to the 3rd lap, he could tell that,
kind of knew what your line was.
He was comfortable. He was comfortable with me going ahead and going a little bit faster.
I love it.
And the funny thing is that because we're in the restart zone is when he cuts me off. We'll see how long he goes on the last lap. But after it was over, he was like, man, I'll tell you what, of all the ones that I've done this with people, because they've done this other places. They've done it in Atlanta before the repave. They did it in Texas, Dover.
Let her eat, bud. Let her eat.
He was like, man, I'll tell you what, if we ever find a way to make this a real thing where we're racing each other, you're going to beat everybody. I was like, dude, I've been playing the video games forever.
Like, you knew the race line. You knew where you were at.
I got him, all the way to like almost 3/4 of the way down the front stretch for he cut me off that time versus the restart zone. I was like, hey, you know the line. You've been playing the games. You know where the car needs to go. I mean, you may not be able to. And of course, they wanted us more in like the center of the track, far away from the wall.
Right. That's awesome.
And they hooked me up when they came to Dover. They came to Dover once. And then they've been to Dover twice now. The second time they went to Dover was after I had already done this with them. And, I said, hey, look, I know you all are going to be there. I am not trying to take anyone's spot away that, has never gotten to experience this. I'm just asking if you all will let me come just to hang out. I'll get enjoyment just from being there. And they're like, yeah, no, that's fine. And they said, hey, and if we end up with free time, if we have time left over, we'll get you in. Unfortunately, it ended up raining. So everyone did get to ride. I didn't ride, but everyone did get to ride. Like maybe 1 or 2 guys got to drive, but then unfortunately the rain stopped it, and the other few guys didn't get a chance to. It rained
in Dover, Delaware. Say it ain't so.
I know, right? It's been ridiculous how bad that's been because, I'm only an hour away from Dover, and I've been going for a long time. Even before the injury, I was going to both of the races, and these last like 5-6 years have been atrocious.
That's been a bucket list race for me, but I feel like I need to take a week off to try to pull that one off.
How do you feel about the R-Star race being
it's not all it's cracked up to be, I'll tell you that. They get spread out, and it's just there's not a whole lot that happens. This is my experience from it, but I completely understand wanting to go. I especially if you haven't been. So, I mean, I don't blame you for going. It's just weird that it's there. I honestly kind of wondered if the reason that it's there is because they had conflicts with, maybe there was conflicts with scheduling with the World Cup. Yeah. And they had to try to move some things around. I definitely do not think that it will be there again after this year. I think it's going to be a one and done.
I'm not a fan.
And they can't even do it as a night race. So,
right. Listen, man, this has been an eye-opening experience for me. I'm sure RB feels the same way. Ethan, why don't you give us your shout-outs, man? I know there's plenty of people out there that are going to listen to this that probably wouldn't listen every week, but why don't you give us your shout-outs? Let us know who's cheering for you.
Yeah, sure thing, man. So, I mean, obviously, all my family and friends, everybody that's on that DEP team, especially Dan. He's the owner. He has a paint shop. So if anyone ever wants to get any paints done, he's done all my paints for a long time. I got connected with him a while back. He's had I don't want to tell too much info, but he's had a child that's had some difficulties, cancer and things of that nature. So we kind of struck a chord a little bit, and from different perspectives of struggle. So I want to thank him a lot for everything that he's done for me. And then Brian Boyd's been one, of course, donate the wheel to me. I know he was cheering on there in the Facebook chat last night. But I mean, I'd say that pretty much is the gist of in my corner there.
Yeah, the support system. It's funny to talk about. We all grown men participate in a video game every weekend, and people believe in us and support us, and It's pretty insane. I know RB and I talked about that a little bit last week. When it comes to the league and the amount of support we've gotten from folks that don't understand e-gaming, if you will. It's nuts. It really is insane. The type of support that we've been able to draw this season for AMP, I know I certainly appreciate it. Apex One was the sponsor last night for North Wilkesboro. Shout out to them. I always like to take a second shout out Stuff at Burgers, Black Creek Diesel, my sponsors as well. Loud Pedal Asylum for letting me be a tag along with their group this year, and we'll pretend that RB is not the principal owner of that. Shout out RB for putting this together. RB calls me his partner. I really just hang out and talk shit with RB every Monday with the winner of the AMP Racing League, and I have an absolute riot doing it, man. Appreciate you putting in the time. RB does all of the hard stuff. All I do is talk. RB does all the hard things. He does the editing. He posts it. He makes sure that we sound good. He makes sure that we look good. And I have absolutely no issue admitting that because I'm not talented. So, shout out to Stuff at Burgers, Black Creek Diesel. And then I want to throw a quick shout out to Universal Motorsports Tour. Ran an awesome event this weekend called the 24 Beers of Daytona. We raced next gens, Mazdas, GT3s, LMP2s, and GTP cars, all in the really just in the respect of charity. We donate all the proceeds to a group called March of Dimes, is what it's called. They do a lot of work helping mothers with fertility issues, and it is a riot every year. Yes, I was inebriated. Yes, I had an absolute riot, and for the first time in 3 years, I finished in the top 10 in points over the course of the 5 races. So I do want to throw them a not so quick shout out because they was doing the Lord's work this weekend, and I was doing the opposite work of the Lord this weekend. But absolute riot, had a great time. And I will now kick it to RB to close us out of here.
Yeah, I just appreciate you, Ethan, for hanging out with us. Look forward to racing you some more and maybe talking with you some more on here. Maybe if you get a couple more wins, I believe you can do it. And
especially if you're a long run guy, man, 15 cautions is absurd.
Yeah, that's not a normal night for us.
I don't doubt it one bit, man. I admin in another league as well, and we have the same type of stuff happen on short tracks. So I tell people the same thing. It's like, look, you got to take some of these races with a grain of salt. We're going to have some bad ones, and we're going to have some really good ones, and just one of the bad ones.
Well, yeah, that's pretty much it. Thank you, Ethan. Thank you, Kolby, and thank you everybody out there tuning in. And we'll see you next time.
See you guys.